In Unit 3, we're going to cover how to title vehicles. We're going to cover the electronic title registration. That's your ETR vendors. We're going to cover the processing of tags and how to legally use your dealer license plates. And there's a lot of dealers that are using their dealer plates illegally, and I want to make sure you know how to use yours legally. So let's go ahead and get started with titling vehicles. Obviously a title is a legal document that's issued by the Georgia Department of Revenue and shows the person that has ownership of the vehicle and also any lien holders as well. So for example, the owner owes money on the vehicle. Obviously the lien holder reflects who has a security interest on that vehicle. But before we start the titling process, I want you to be aware of how to conduct a dealer internet inquiry, or you might think of this as a title search. A dealer internet inquiry allows a Georgia licensed motor vehicle dealer to access information through the internet inquiry and the electronic title registration, that's your ETR system, and may retrieve previous motor vehicle license plate and title information. The Department of Revenue keeps title records, which contain VINs, that's your vehicle identification numbers, title and tag registration numbers, owner and lien holder information. I want to show you how to get set up with this system and your ETR providers, which we're going to discuss in just a moment, and should also be able to provide you with more information about dealer internet inquiries. Running a dealer internet inquiry will show you if there's any money owed on the vehicle, and you should always conduct a search when you're purchasing a vehicle from an individual or if you're taking a trade-in. And dealers can access the dealer internet inquiry database for the exclusive purpose of carrying out legitimate motor vehicle transactions in which the dealer is engaged in buying, selling, exchanging, renting, or offering or negotiating the sale or exchange of motor vehicles. First, if for some reason you do not already have access, be sure to complete the Dealer Internet Inquiry Form MV47. And I want to remind you that you can always, download those at newmexicodealer.com. Once again, that's MV47. If for some reason you haven't already filled that out to have a dealer internet inquiry permission, then you definitely want to download that at the website and get it to the state. So I always remember that you can scroll down on georgiadealer.com to the Georgia Dealer Forms link, and you'll always be able to download all these forms. But once your registration is processed and codes to access to the database are mailed to your dealership. Once you receive the access codes, registration can be completed with the Georgia Technology Authority, and a non-refundable $100 account deposit can be paid to set up your new GTA billing account. If you have any questions, you can contact the Georgia Technology Authority at 404-463-7212. I want to give you that number again. The Georgia Technology Authority can be contacted at 404-463-7212. So if you have any other questions, you can contact your ETR vendors, which we're going to discuss in just a moment. But once that registration is complete, you or your designated employee may retrieve motor vehicle license plate and title information from Georgia's Title and Registration Information Database. The Dealer Internet Inquiry Database is an inquiry-based system, and you will be charged $2 per inquiry, even if the record is not found. So designated users must use a computer located at the dealership to access the data from the department's database. And I want you to be aware you are responsible for any unauthorized use of this database that has been used under one of your account numbers. I want to repeat that. You're responsible for any unauthorized use of this database from someone that might be using your account number. So let's get started with an overview of titling vehicles. And here you see a Georgia certificate of title with the person's name that last owned the vehicle and the lien holder to reflect what finance company may have a security interest in the vehicle. And I know you're familiar with these, but part of the law does require continuing education, covers an extensive titling section. So, you might agree the easiest part of this business is when you have a vehicle fully prepped, detailed, front lane ready, and ready to go. And when we all are aware, when we got a vehicle cleaned up, prepped on the lot, and it's in good condition, it's basically sold. But, I've always felt the hardest part of this business is constantly going out, finding vehicles to resell. And, that is what I believe is the hardest part of the business, other than dealing with the customer, that bought that $900 car from me last week. And this week, they're demanding a new $3,000 paint job. That could be the hardest part of the business. We all know they're out there. But, maybe you are buying all your vehicles from a dealer auction in which case, obviously, you're going to stand in line at the auction, and the title clerk will always tell you, sign here, sign here, sign here. We obviously, they know how to complete titles because, some dealer auctions are going to help a dealer complete, thousands of titles on a big sale day. But always remember, there's basically 3 scenarios when we are going to be completing a title. You might be buying or selling a vehicle at a dealer auction. You might be buying or selling a vehicle directly from another licensed dealer, or you may be buying or selling a vehicle to a person on your lot, or maybe you're taking a trade-in. So I want to take you through a scenario where we are going to buy a vehicle from an individual and bring it back to our lot and sell it to another individual. So, sometimes dealer auctions can get a little crowded, and we've, seen some days where everything seems to be going extremely high. And purchasing a vehicle from an individual can always be, a great way to increase your inventory. So let's say we found a vehicle for sale at Facebook Market, and when we contact the individual that is selling the vehicle, we must always ask that very, very important question to the individual: is the title in your name? Always be sure to ask, is the title in your name? If they say something like, yes, I've owned the vehicle for 5 years, it's paid off, the title's in my name, hey, that is excellent. That's obviously what you're looking for when you're purchasing a vehicle from an individual. However, if you ask the person if the title's in their name, and the person kind of hem-haws around, says something like, well, no, the title's not in my name, I bought it from my neighbor, she signed the back of it, and you can just come over here and buy it from me. As you see here, this is what this title would look like. Okay, see where all the purchaser's information is left blank, but the previous owner just signed the back. We really need to be aware of this particular title, which we call an illegal skipped title because someone skipped paying sales tax, blank or open title. Okay, so let's magnify this so you can see this a little bit better here. Okay. And as you can see, where the person trying to sell this vehicle to you asked the previous owner just to sign the back. And, they probably lied to the previous owner and told them they were buying it for a relative or a friend, and they just would have their relative or friend complete the purchaser's information at a later date. Also notice there's no odometer reading, which is not only a violation of state law, but not disclosing odometer information is required, and it's a violation of federal law as well. This is an illegal title that you see right here. In fact, this title is illegal in all 50 states. If you think about what the person trying to sell you this vehicle is doing, he or she has avoided paying sales tax on this vehicle. So sometimes we call that the skipped title because they have skipped the payment of sales tax. But we also call this a blank or an open title. If you think about what this person is attempting to do, they are acting as a dealer without a dealer's license. This is an illegal dealer that has not went through all the steps that you have went through to maintain a legal dealer's license. And, by the way, why would we ever purchase a vehicle from this person and support an illegal dealership? When you come across an individual that states their name is not on the title to the vehicle and they're just ready to sell to you, I always recommend staying away from that vehicle. We never ever want to deal with that person. It's already breaking the law. So remember, when we are purchasing a vehicle from an individual, we only purchase the vehicle from the person whose name appears at the title, on the title. Of course, if they have some corresponding paperwork like a death certificate or a power of attorney from the previous owner, that would be the only other scenario. So we have established that the person selling the vehicle is the person's name that appears on the front of the title. So we are going to purchase a vehicle, and the very first thing we're going to do is complete the individual's name on the front of the title to the person selling the vehicle, and we're going to complete the notice of the buyer section at the top of the back of the title, like you see right here. Okay, so as you can see here, the purchaser's name's been completed. And always remember, you want to make sure that you put your dealership name. So I want to give you the reminder that, you basically have your first and last name, and your dealership is basically your very last name. So always remember that. Always make sure and put your first and last name and your dealership name, or maybe possibly you have a salesperson filling this out for you. Make sure and put your street address of your dealership there, the date of the sale, the county as well. Okay. Make sure and enter your odometer reading, and always make sure the seller signs this. And then we're also going to hand print our name and also sign that as well. So, just in case if there was an odometer discrepancy or something like that, you certainly would want to check that here as well. So do please keep that in mind. So also here's your first dealer assignment, okay? And I'll blow this up a little bit for you here as well so we can see this. And here's going to be your your first assignment. So this is when we're selling that vehicle. And in this scenario, maybe we're selling it to a guy named Jack McGregor, and and then you're going to definitely sign right over here because you're selling it, and then the purchaser will sign over there. And then we look at our second dealer reassignment, which you see right here on the screen. And take a look at that. Make sure that you're all filling that out correctly. This could be the second reassignment. Remember, obviously, you can never do a reassignment unless you are a licensed motor vehicle dealer. And then there at the bottom, you see that third reassignment. And sometimes they call it the assignment or reassignment, whatever you want to call it there. Just make sure you never leave any blank spaces, on a title when you are filling out that title. It is imperative that everything is filled out. Don't forget that odometer reading. Just make sure also to check any type of odometer discrepancies, or maybe a vehicle's odometer has rolled over. Then you would check the box number 1 there that says the vehicle's mileage may be in excess of mechanical limits. So we've all seen that older vehicle, maybe 5 digits on the odometer, and it reads 23,000 miles, but we're fairly certain it's probably 123,000 miles or 223,000 miles or 323,000 miles. Well, obviously, we would check the box that says odometer reading may be in excess of mechanical limits. So here you see the full title when all the spaces on the back have been completed. So this is obviously what we refer to as a full title. And, sometimes, we come across these, and, a scenario like this, maybe Jennifer Johnson bought this vehicle from a person on Craigslist. Maybe she drove it straight over to the dealer auction, and maybe she sold it to Jack McGregor, and maybe Jack McGregor bought the vehicle at one dealer auction and took it over to another dealer auction the following week because they're going a little bit higher there. And then maybe they sold it to a dealer across the street or something like that. But, when all the spaces on the back have been completed, or also in the very rare case when the vehicle assigned to the title is not available at the time of the sale. So let's say, for example, you sell a vehicle to a customer after hours and the original title is not available. Maybe it's locked inside a vault in the dealership. Then you can use the secure reassignment form. So your secure dealer reassignment forms can only be used after the title has been completed, transferring ownership of the vehicle to the dealership. And if the dealership is the owner of the vehicle prior to selling or transferring ownership, and provided that the title becomes available, the dealership will enter the dealer reassignment form's control number in the title assignment space where the customer's name is usually entered. So do please keep that in mind. The dealer reassignment form must accompany the title when the title is applied for in the customer's name. And I'm assuming you are familiar with this form. You can only purchase the secure dealer reassignment form, from the Georgia Automobile Dealers Association, or maybe the Georgia Independent Automobile Dealers Association. And, here you see both of those associations' contact numbers there. The Georgia Automobile Dealers Association can be reached at 770-432-1658. And their website is gada.com. Or you can contact the Georgia Independent Dealers Association at 800-472-8107, and their website is giadi.com. So if you do need a secure dealer assignment form, also when you get those forms, all the instructions are on the form as well. And don't ever forget to complete your sales tax exemption form, ST5, that you see right here. Always remember, a sales and use tax number is required unless the purchaser is a church or qualifying tax-exempt child care institution, maybe a tax-exempt parent-teacher organization, association, or private school, nonprofit industry raising funds for public libraries, or members of Boy Scouts of America or Girl Scouts of America. Otherwise, the person purchasing the vehicle from you will normally be required to pay sales tax, okay? The assignment spaces on the title should be used to transfer ownership of the vehicle. Failure to apply for the title will cause additional ad valorem tax fee penalties in addition to other fees and penalties. And, let's say the title is in the office after the business hours or something like that, or all those assignment spaces have been completed. Then remember, we would have to have that secure reassignment form, which I just showed you just a moment ago. But the state does not want you to use the secure dealer reassignment form just if a title is not available. It's going to have to be that rare scenario, if the title's locked in an office or something like that. So do please keep that in mind. Like I said, when you order that from one of the associations, The complete instructions will be on that form. Let's cover titling vehicles, because I always want to make sure you're aware of how to correctly title vehicles. This is part of the gig here of obviously having a dealer's license. As a selling dealer, when a title is required, you are required to apply in your customer's name for any vehicle purchased from your dealership within 30 calendar days of the date of the sale. And I want to repeat that. When a title is required, you are required to apply in your customer's name for any vehicle purchased from your dealership within 30 days of the date of the sale. If you do not apply for a title within 30 days, your customer will not be able to apply for or transfer a license plate until the title has been applied for, and then you just became a blip on the state's radar, and we certainly don't want that. And the State Board of Registration of Used Motor Vehicle Dealers may impose fines on your dealership when you fail to comply. So we definitely need to make sure that we have taken this care of within 30 days. What are the penalties? Well, I'm going to show you right here on the next screen. $10 penalty if a dealer fails to apply for a title within 30 days of the date of the sale. Also, additional title ad valorem tax fee penalties, civil penalties, and criminal charges if the dealer fails to apply for a title or perfect a security interest. And I want to concentrate on that for a second. Maybe you're the lien holder and you're a buy here, pay here dealer, and if a customer pays you off, then we need to do our job and release the lien. That's our security interest, okay? We call that perfecting. So make sure you never forget to release a lien. So if our customer's done their job and they paid our vehicle off, make sure and do our job, which is releasing that lien. So you can actually lose your dealer's license if you do not apply for a title within 30 days if required, okay? So if you are maintaining 100% compliance, as I said, you're not going to pay any fines. You're going to keep all your profits. And once again, remember that 100% compliance equals 100% profits. And plus, your customer would be unable to apply for or transfer a license plate until that title is applied for as well. So do keep in mind, the Board of Registration of Used Motor Vehicles may impose fines when a dealer fails to comply with that very, very important law. So we do have the ability and the responsibility to apply for our customer's title to that vehicle that we've sold them. And in just a moment, we'll get started with a review of your electronic title registration system, or your ETR. But before we do that, we're going to need to have completed the title. And right here on the screen is that title application Mv1 that you're probably familiar with. And like I said, you can download those right on the website. This form is to be used on a title application and must be signed by all owners. I want to repeat that. This form is to be used on title applications and must be signed by all owners. So let's take a look at this one here. Here you see your Mv1, and we'll always try and have a link to the most updated version for you on the website. So if there's a new version that may be a little bit newer than what you see on the screen here, then hopefully we'll have a link to that and you'll be able to download that. So, when you're filling out this title application, make sure and put your VIN, make, model, the style, the odometer reading, the current title number, the current state of the title, and the county that it was in. Don't forget to, over there to the top right, put the year, the color of the cylinders, and the fuel type. And if it is a commercial vehicle, you would need to fill out the commercial vehicle section as well. Enter the number of owners, whether it's leased or not leased. So unless you're a leasing dealer, you would probably be checking no there, I'm sorry. Put the full legal name along with that person's driver's license, date of birth, email address. You want to make sure and get their email address. Everybody basically has an email address now, hopefully, and then the home address as well. So make sure that you got that information there. Always make sure and put the Georgia dealer's bank number. Okay, that's your 12-digit customer ID number if applicable. And always put your full legal name of the dealership. And then if you are leasing, make sure you also have that other information there completed in Section D. Okay. Now, if there is a lien on the vehicle, we're going to have to complete that lien information along with your 12-digit ELT ID number. And if there's a second lien on it, make sure that you put that information on there as well. And, if there is, say, for example, an attorney in fact, or maybe there's a death certificate involved on that transaction, make sure and complete Section F as well. So, also just keep that in mind that all motor vehicle dealers must submit applications for the certificate of title electronically through the Georgia Electronic Title and Registration System. And I want to repeat that as a reminder. If you've been a dealer for a few years, that law changed. All motor vehicle dealers must submit applications for certificate of title electronically online through the Georgia Electronic Title and Registration, your ETR system. And, to participate in ETR, motor vehicle dealers must enter into an agreement with an ETR vendor that has been authorized by the Department of Revenue to electronically process applications for the certificate of title. So, approved ETR vendors are going to be listed here, and I will show you those ETR vendors in just a moment here. But one thing I also want you to be aware of, county tag offices in the Motor Vehicle Division's main office will no longer accept paper applications for a certificate of title. And that includes walk-in, drop-in, or mail-in. They no longer accept paper applications for certificate of title from motor vehicle dealers. There's a couple of exemptions. That would be, basically application for a certificate of title from a motor vehicle would only be accepted and processed when the dealer submitted them electronically through the ETR. And some exemptions to ETR would include a transaction that's exempt from the tax ad valorem tax, such as a title application for certain disabled veterans and non-resident service members, or maybe vehicles purchased by government entities, a loaner vehicle, or a vehicle titled in a dealer's name. So these transactions, such as those just mentioned, would continue to be processed directly through your county tag office rather than ETR. So I'll give you a quick reminder on that again. Those are going to be those vehicles that maybe you're selling to a veteran, a non-resident service member, or maybe a government agency, such as maybe you're selling a truck to the city that you operate in, or a loaner vehicle. Okay, those can be processed directly through the county tag office. But other than those, we're going to go through ETR. Okay, and so that is definitely something that you're going to want to make sure that you are aware of. And here you see a list of approved providers. Okay, so you have computer vehicle registration, which is CVR, and you see their website and their 800 phone number there. You also have Dlr Track, which is a great Georgia-based company. You have Decision Dynamics, Dlr Dmv, Title Tech. So there you see all their contact information right there. But I'm going to show you a couple of these. You should already be using one of these approved providers, but you can usually get a free trial or a demo with each version, just in case you would like to explore other opportunities in an ETR vendor. Okay, so in alphabetical order. I'm going to show you a couple of these here, okay? And then I will certainly show you exactly how to use this. And as you can see right here, just as an example, we're going to use CVR Connect, okay? And CVR Connect is going to be a great resource for you here. And as we click on here, hopefully you've already been working this. Here's the other one, that's Dlr Track. You can certainly use that Dlr Track if you want to. And like I said, this is basically an alphabetical order. So you can visit the website there at the top and see right where you can request a demo of ETR. You can call them directly at 888-346-3087. And then you're going to see DDI technology right here. And you can see right in the middle there of the homepage that you can schedule a demo, a free demo, or you can call DDI directly at 844-836-1621. And now the next one I want to show you is called Dlr Dmv, okay? And you can schedule a demo at the top right of the Dlr Dmv homepage, right there at the very top, or you can call them directly at 855-335-7376, okay? And you can also go to Google or whatever your favorite search engine is and search for Georgia ETR, and you're going to see links to all these companies. And then finally, you're going to see, it's called the AutoPoint website, and right here in the middle of the homepage, you can see the big yellow schedule a demo button, or you can call AutoPoint directly at 877-567-4349. So remember, you are now required to use one of these companies or any ETR company approved by the state to assist you with your electronic title registration, since your county tag offices no longer accept most paper title applications. So give any one of them a call or visit their websites to start your free demo. Even if you've been using one for a while, you certainly won't lose out by using a free trial of another one to see if maybe that's going to be a little bit more convenient or even possibly easier to use. Let's talk about your temporary operating permits. We're going to go into TOPS and just give you a review of this. As a reminder, at the time of the sale, A Georgia licensed motor vehicle dealer is required to issue one temporary operating permit, what we call a TOP, free of charge to the customer. I want to repeat that very important statement. At the time of the sale, a Georgia licensed motor vehicle dealer is required to issue one temporary operating permit free of charge to the customer. Okay, so do keep that in mind. That is a state law. Customers are allowed to apply for a new license plate or transfer a valid same category license plate from the vehicle they no longer own. But just remember, you can't use, say, for example, a trailer plate and put that over onto a car plate or something like that. The dealer cannot issue an extension or an additional temporary operating permit. And I want to repeat that. The dealer cannot issue an extension or an additional temporary operating permit, nor can the customer operate the vehicle legally with an expired dealer-issued temporary operating permit. So make sure that your customer knows they cannot drive that vehicle with that temporary operating permit when it has expired. The customer will be unable to register and obtain or transfer a license plate if the title has been issued in their name when a title is required. And remember, the dealer is responsible for applying for the title for the customer when the vehicle requires a title, but the dealer is not required to apply for a new or transferred license plate. If the dealer fails to make the title application for the customer within 5 days before the expiration date of that license plate, then the customer may apply for one 30-day temporary operating permit at the county tag office where that buyer resides. So if they did have problems getting their plates or something like that, they can apply for one extension temporary operating permit, but we never ever issue those. Those must be issued directly at the county tag office where that buyer actually resides. So, but you never want this to happen because that could incur fines on your dealership. So that being said, you may not issue a temporary operating permit when the vehicle is to be registered under what's called the International Registration Plan. You may not issue a temporary operating permit on a salvage vehicle or on a non-self-propelled vehicle, or especially on a vehicle that was not sold by your dealership. So keep that in mind. You can never issue a temporary operating permit on some vehicle to a person that just walked in off your dealership, off the street, and you didn't sell that vehicle to that person. So always remember, you can only place a temporary operating permit on a vehicle that has been sold by your dealership. So here you see a sample temporary operating permit, and you're already probably using them, but the state requires we cover some titling and tags information extensively in your dealer continuing education course. This is part of the continuing education law. By the way, I believe all the approved electronic title registration vendor softwares will print up your temporary tags very easily, but I do want to explain the paper that you're going to need to use to print your temporary operating permits and the required sticker. So there you see all the information there, including the VIN, the temporary operating permit number, along with the expiration date, the vehicle type there at the bottom as well, and then the state seal, and then that little internet code thing. I forget what they're called, but it's got one of those internet code things on there. So I can't even think what that thing's called. The paper you use to print your temporary operating permit must meet all of the following guidelines, okay? It must be the same size as a Georgia license plate. It must be made of thick paper to resist deterioration or fading due to exposure. Must have a rectangular box centered at the bottom for the official top sticker. Okay, so you'll put your sticker right in that little square that you saw at the bottom there. Must be white or light colored background. Must contain a delaminating feature that destroys the top sticker if removed. Okay, so keep that in mind. Must repair commercially available inks and marking pens, and must include your dealership name and the address around the top sticker. So keep that in mind. And by the way, you may never issue a temporary permit in the following circumstances. Okay, you can't issue multiple TOPs per vehicle or multiple TOPs per buyer. We may never extend or renew the TOP. That can only be done through the buyer's county tag office that they reside in beyond the initial expiration date. So we can never extend an expiration date, or once again on a vehicle that's going to be registered under what's called the International Registration Plan. We don't put these on demos, so keep that in mind. You'll never ever put a temporary permit on a vehicle that's being test driven. We only put them on vehicles that have been sold. We're not going to put them on a vehicle for employees' use or for transporting vehicles from one location to another location. Okay, so one thing the state strictly prohibits is you just putting the word tag applied for or similar statements on the TOP. That's not allowed. You cannot put the word tag applied for on a TOP. Also, issuing a temporary permit when the dealer's primary business is the sale of salvage vehicles. You're never going to put a temporary operating permit on a salvage vehicle. Or also, you will never use a temporary permit if the primary business of the dealer is the sale of parts or junk vehicle, or placing a temporary operating permit other than a vehicle that was sold. So as I said just a moment ago, we can't just put a temporary operating permit on the brother-in-law's car to help him out for a couple of weeks or something like that. Remember, we're not going to issue a temporary operating permit to any non-self-propelled vehicle such as a trailer. And once again, we never charge the customer a fee for the temporary operating permit. State law requires the dealer provide the temporary operating permit for free at no charge. Now, also, temporary operating permit storage and delivery guidelines. We want to make sure that you're aware of this. Temporary operating permits must be stored in a secure area. That area must not be visible or accessible to the public unless it is during a motor vehicle transaction. So you want to make sure you're storing all this information correctly. The delivery or shipment of temporary operating permits shall be secure. Any temporary operating permit delivery must be traceable from the point of origin to the point of delivery. So make sure you have tracking numbers for any delivery of temporary operating permit stickers. You want to be able to track those. So make sure that whoever's delivering those to you will be able to give you a tracking number, because the state wants to make sure we know exactly where our TOP stickers are at. So keep that in mind. Always remember, the temporary operating permits that you use must have a current temporary operating permit number at the bottom to be in compliance. And the temporary operating permit stickers that must be placed at the bottom of the temporary operating permit can only be obtained by the Georgia Automobile Dealers Association. Once again, that's 770-432-1658, and that's GADA.com. Or the Georgia Independent Dealers Association, which is 800-472-8101, GIADA.com. And I want to repeat that. The temporary operating permit stickers that must be placed at the bottom of a temporary operating permit may only be ordered from one of those two organizations. But if you have any questions regarding temporary operating permits, you should definitely contact your electronic title registration vendor. And once again, here you see that contact information. Computer vehicle registration is 386-1746. There you see dealer track can be reached at 888-346-3048. DDI technology can be contacted at 844-836-1621. Dlr Dmv can be called at 855-335-7376. I'll try that one more time, 855-335-7368. And finally, you see AutoPoint. You can call AutoPoint at 877-567-4349. And I'm sure that any one of these approved vendors can help answer any questions that you might have regarding temporary operating permits. So let's do a quick review of how you can use your Georgia dealer license plates, okay? And as you see here, this is obviously a Georgia dealer license plate. As a Georgia motor vehicle dealer, obviously you're going to be issued dealer license plates, which are often referred to as dealer tags or D tags. All dealers are issued a main plate and 2 additional plates for a total of 3 initial plates. And in addition to the 3 dealer plates issued to a dealer, you may also be issued 1 additional plate for every 20 units sold in a calendar year. So basically, we get 3 plates, and then we also get 1 plate for each additional 20 units that we sell every year. So the state has really reined in the number of dealer plates that we are allowed to possess. Signs or plates created by dealers for consumers do not comply with these legal requirements. For example, a sign stating test drive does not qualify as a valid plate under any circumstances, and this has actually happened. So we want to make sure that we're aware of this. The state has strict standards you must abide by in order to keep your dealer license plates, and you must ensure your dealer license plates are being used correctly. And I want to show you not only how to use your dealer license plates correctly, but I want to cover the use of dealer license plates that are in violation of state law, because the state does have zero tolerance for any dealer that is using their dealer license plates incorrectly. And when I cover these laws with you, I am sure you are going to realize that a lot of dealers are using their dealer plates incorrectly. So I'm going to show you how to use them in compliance with the state law. A Georgia dealer plate must be placed on vehicles that are in your dealership inventory and are being demonstrated to a potential buyer. You will be placing them on demos being test driven by your customers. They can be placed on your inventory vehicle when transferring a vehicle from one location, such as maybe from a dealer auction. You can place a dealer plate on a vehicle that you purchased for a dealer auction, and you're transferring that back to your dealership, okay? Also, a dealer plate may be used on dealership vehicles that are used by officers and employees. Just remember, though, that the state says employees are defined as persons that work for the business at least 36 hours a week. And I want to repeat that. If you've got an employee using a dealer plate, they have to be employed at least 36 hours a week for your dealership to allow them to drive those demos or any vehicle that has a dealer license plate on it. Placing a Georgia dealer license plate on the following vehicles is strictly prohibited. You may never place a dealer license plate on a privately owned vehicle. You may never place a dealer license plate on a vehicle that you are leasing or any vehicle for hire, which is known as a commercial vehicle. A commercial vehicle is a vehicle that you're providing a service and are paid for that service. That is known as a commercial vehicle, and you are never allowed to place a dealer license plate on a commercial vehicle. You're strictly prohibited from placing a dealer license plate on privately owned vehicles, and you may also never put a dealer plate on a vehicle that's been hired out or something like that, or anything when someone is paying you a fee to provide a service. We also may never place a dealer plate on a delivery vehicle or a parts delivery vehicle. You can never place a dealer plate on a tow truck. That would become a commercial vehicle, or even if you were just using it to tow your own vehicles back and forth from the auction, well, that tow truck is a service vehicle, and which is used in the service of your dealership, and you would never be able to place a dealer plate on that. Remember, you may never place a dealer plate on a truck that's pulling other vehicles or even on a loaded trailer. If you use a truck to transport your vehicles to and from auctions, you're going to need a tax, title, and license the truck in your dealership's name. If you stack several trailers on top of another trailer, maybe when transferring them to your dealership, you cannot place a dealer plate on the bottom trailer. In this case, that bottom trailer would need to be licensed because it is now a dealership service vehicle. So please keep that in mind. You are strictly prohibited from placing a dealer plate on a family member's vehicle or an employee's family member. You must only place a dealer license plate on a vehicle that is being test driven by your customers, on vehicles that are being transported, or on a vehicle being used by an officer of the dealership, on a vehicle used by an employee that works at least 36 hours per week at your dealership. You can be fined if you use your dealer license plates illegally or incorrectly. And if it is determined in a department hearing that the license plates were unlawfully used, then the plates may be revoked and confiscated. Also, hopefully this never happens, but if you ever go out of business, you must turn in all of your dealer license plates with a signed letter indicating the reasons for the return to the business registration unit. So keep that in mind, please. Replacement dealer plates. I want you to be aware that thieves love dealer plates. Any motor vehicle thief would give anything to get their hands on one of your dealer license plates. And at the end of every test drive, I always recommend removing the dealer plate from the demo and securing it in a desk or like a lockable file cabinet in your office. If you get into the habit of leaving your dealer license plates on your demos on your lot overnight, I can assure you that you will get them stolen. So I hope this is something that never happens to you. If you ever do get a dealer license plate stolen, you certainly must notify law enforcement officials. And, you may run into a scenario where you may have to order a replacement dealer license plate. If you have to order a replacement dealer license plate, you must return any damaged license plate, or if the dealer plate was stolen, you must submit a notarized affidavit or a copy of the police report detailing how the plate was stolen. The plate number must also be listed on the report. So don't forget, you'll need to send a check or money order for $12 to the Georgia Department of Revenue. And if the license plate was lost in the mail prior to your receipt, then it's called a completed Form T200 affidavit of non-receipt of an original license plate must be made as well. But I want you to be aware, if you have any questions about how to order replacement plates, just contact the state. And as a reminder, you will never place a temporary operating permit on a vehicle that's being test driven. You would only use a dealer license plate. Only place temporary operating permits on vehicles that have actually been sold by your dealership. I also want to give you that reminder. We have just finished up that section there, and you can always review any of these sections just by going to GeorgiaDlr.com and jump right up there at the very top, and you are going to be able to click the videos button and review all the information at your convenience. Let's move on to the next unit.